opportune times in our life. And in that, we find a way to go about incorporating the truth within our lives. And that we live by that truth so that in everything we do, we go about finding peace with it. Because what's going on right now, we're not in a peaceful state. We have brothers and sisters going about turning against one another. And in turning against one another is the country is at a division. But we're at a division because some people believe that their Savior has ascended from the high heavens in which to bring about a state of utopia, uh, an awakening, where the commonality in which all of us share, I don't care how much you really think you make, if you got to go to work, you're in the struggle, that it's political alliances that goes about dictating the fortunes of game. But the last time I checked, which among us have gone about finding salvation out of political alliance? Who among you could say that they have benefited massively and gone about increasing their wealth? I'm talking about the common people. Because it sickens me to see people crying and believe they have no salvation or hope going forward in life. But these are just division tactics, you see. These are things that I have gone about making us separated from one another. So in the question I pose to each and every one of you, is Donald Trump really going to go about saving America? And if you believe he is all that powerful, then I must be mistaken by what's been plaguing us for over 400 years. And in that it's systemic in how the game is being ran. Democracy only goes about promoting who will go about getting richer and who's going to end up paying for it, you see. Because all these things we're going about funding, but yet we're stricken by poverty. The crazy part that befuddles me to this day is that when I went to Georgia, and Georgia had dirt roads, no cement, no pavement, no street lights on the damn thing. And that was befuddling to me because coming from LA, where everything is a concrete jungle, ignorance is crazy because it opens your eyes up to what is there if you go about paying attention. And you could go about seeing the truth. Now, the great white hope, Donald Trump, is on a campaign to make America great again. But the old business model teaches me that somebody has to pay for it. And the last time I checked, the wealthy ain't incorporated in going about paying for these things. You see, the system is built on the backs of hard-working Americans who go about paying their taxes, who get up, rain, shine, sleet, or snow, that goes about making it to work. And so, why do we believe that now the system will change and look out for the benefit of the common man? Donald Trump said it best. I don't pay taxes because laws are put in place. So I go about taking advantage of the laws. Everybody is in an uproar. But is it because Donald Trump has been demonized, so we go about painting him as the villain? Or is it that we are just not awakened to the truth this guy is really exposing us to? Politics is it holds a pack mentality, and in holding a pack mentality, it goes about promoting a group mentality. So no one man will ever go about dictating the pace of the group. That's why it's a systemic vision in which it's checks and balances, not to make sure that one man has all that power. So when we go about asking, will he go about saving America? I said it's just a continuation of systemic, in which in it goes about promoting the wealthy getting wealthier and the poor having to go about funding experiments that are put in place. And the reason I could go about saying this, and I know this might go about irritating a lot of people, but the reason I go about saying this in this manner is this. President Obama had 8 years in office. Did anything change? The wealthy still got wealthier. The poor still had to end up paying for it. So it doesn't matter who you go about putting in office. It's designed that by the labor of you and me, that we go about funding the experiments of the elitists, the ones who have more money than they are ever capable of spending. But in that manner, I wanted to really go about illustrating this point. And in illustrating this point, the system has found a way to go about having us turn against each other because of political alliances and the way how we go about viewing things. We do not look at the matters in which we are being affected by, but because we have become programmed in semblance of the theory and spooling The theory in spooling states is that you give the lead dog a direction in which to go, and you will have everybody else following that direction, not questioning why they are going in the direction that they're going. Now, for me, that can't be right because the last time I checked, everybody had a brain. Now, if you're not using that brain, then the system has you right where it wants to. And because of the system having us right where it wants us, the continuation of us not receiving what we are obligated to go about getting, and striving back to the point in that when you take away somebody's worth, they will become pleased in receiving less than they're owed. You see, they have found a way to go about making us believe that politics is gonna go about making things easier for us. And I know a lot of you won't agree with me, but test this theory out and see. At the inception of the United States, the formation of the United States government, when has there ever been an equality state, which in the poor majority has gone about having ownership in what's going on? We have just been leased the formation of inception, but we are really not part of the plan, because when you learn that human lives are expandable, then you see that there's no value in humanity but cheap labor. And with the world rate going at 7 billion plus right now, cheap labor is more than could bear. So it's a control tactic in which they go about using to go about manipulating the situation and causing misdirection, just in order for us not to go about seeing that we are just being played for fools, you see. And if we're being played for fools, then how progressively far, how progressively awake are we in seeing that if we do not go about stop stopping others from taking us for fools, then we won't make it too far. So, no, Donald Trump didn't come to save America. Donald Trump is a plan that is meant to go about creating a fizzle and a flash just in order to go about directing those who want to be misinformed. And too many things that we're hearing on the media, we have become misinformed in part to the real damaging effects of what's taking place. Like the other day, there was an article article in regards to the Bible will be introduced in schools, and there was an uproar in regards to the Bible being a part of the school curriculum. So I ask, if school is the formation of books and going about examining certain texts, what's so wrong with examining that book? Because they let kids read Harry Potter, and Harry Potter in school has a lot of sorcery in there. But my viewpoint is not that one book is good, one book is bad. But if people do not go about examining all sorts of artifacts, all sorts of information, then how will they ever go about getting a sense of direction? You see? And I don't have a problem with books being introduced in any kind of learning environment that goes about promoting growth. We have become limited in our understanding in growing. And the one thing that we must come to realize in all of this is that sense of direction is needed. Because if we look at our kids now and the values that they carry on with, we have to go about introducing things in which goes about incorporating a sense of value, a sense of pride, so that they have a sense of direction in which in how they go about moving forward in life. But there's an uproar. Oh, my kid is not religious. Oh, my kid is not that. The last time I checked, nobody was trying to convert anybody. It's just to examine the text. And in examining the text, I found this so odd that the California school system is willing to go about passing laws in which they go about teaching about transgender, homosexuals, and all these different things. But we can allow a book that goes about informing different point of views. Now, what's good for the goose must be good for the gander. So it just shows how far divided we are as a people, that we do not want to go about incorporating things which in will go about helping us get a better understanding out of life. And without understanding, any man or any woman or any child that carries on is lost. I'm not saying that the Bible is the answer all, because as parents, I plead and I urge that you go about talking to your kids, getting them involved in seeing how this world is. There's a notion that by doing the right thing, the wrong outcome will take place. Now, help me understand that. School is to go about promoting learning and learning from text. How could that be a bad thing for kids? How could that go about causing harm? You see, But the reason I wanted to bring this up is because people are misinformed about a lot of things. And they are misinformed because the media has become a manipulative trick in causing for us to become disillusioned in what's taking place. The media only forces certain aspects of what they are trying to go about promoting. The one thing that I will say in this regards, in the regards of, if we look at society on a whole, one of the stigmas that we're finally trying to move away from is going about addressing mental health. And addressing mental health when I was a kid was seen to be a sign of weakness. So even if you went about suffering from loneliness, depression, anxiety, any sorts of phobia, you were ostracized and you were deemed as being weak. But the one thing about life, life never changes. Generation before me, generation after me, everything is still the same because we all suffer from one thing or the other. And because we suffer from something, it's not till we go about dealing with what we're suffering from, then we could go about healing and going about finding that sense of pride, that sense of self, that sense of belonging. Because no man's an island. But if you can't go about dealing with what you're being faced with, the struggles only become oh so real. There's a lot of young people who are faced with the tough decision of going about fitting in. And because they want to fit in, peer pressure becomes a factor in which decision they will go about making. And with these decisions, it forces us to take on the characteristics and become something we're not comfortable with. Life is a transitionary period. Many young people right now, they're graduating from high school, some are graduating from college, that they are faced with certain uncertainties in regards to, will they get a job? Will they have a secure housing to go about sustaining life? And all of these things go about bringing anxiety. If harped upon too much, it could go about triggering a state of depression. But mental health is serious business. This is not something that should be frowned upon. This is not something that should be scoffed, or this is not something that should be dismissed. Because one thing that young people need to come to go about realizing is that worrying over something or looking for ways that won't work will not go about helping you. Worrying is one of the worst things that any human being could go about incorporating in their lifestyle, their mindset, and the way how they go about doing things. Worrying only harms the body, because the more you go about worrying about things, the more you go about draining the body. And that's why I try to go about telling each and every person, whatever you're dealing with, go about giving it everything that you've got. And once you have come to realize that's your best, then leave it alone. You can't change the outcome, but you must learn to go about making peace with what is taking place, you see. And the minute we could go about making peace with what is going on in our life, then we will be not become stressed because of what we're faced with. And that within that lies the problem. A lot of us believe that the problem is so insurmountable that it's unachievable. And because it's unachievable, we begin to worry. We begin to lose sleep. We overeat. We do all these things, which does not go about promoting a healthy lifestyle. And in not promoting a healthy lifestyle, it makes it hard. But stressing does nothing to go about bringing you peace. So I see, and I go about talking to each person that I go about meeting, and I try to go about having them incorporate the basic principle. Once you're faced with something, look at it, analyze it, and see what you can do about it. And after that, that's it. You can't do nothing more, you can't do nothing less. All you could do is what you could do. Be okay with that. We have to come to terms with reality. And that's why I started off the live and asking people, do they believe that Trump could really go about saving America? Because at the end of the day, the struggle is dependent upon what you are going to do. It's not about nobody else. It's never been, it never will be. As much as people want to go about saying that it's a collective unit, no. It's about what you're going to do. Because for even in a collective unit, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So if each person is not going about pulling their weight, the chain breaks. And that's why I say everything is dependent upon what you're going to do. And what you're going to do is you are going to come to terms with what's going on in your life. And by coming to terms with what's going on in your life, then you will go about seeing that, yeah, it's not dependent upon Trump. It's not about what's taking place in the schools. It's about what I'm going to do. How do I go about getting myself to a better place? Now, that's my blessing. One.